Yo, it's your boy Dctree, and this is Dctree-Nation, the channel on YouTube that covers hoops and heroes. And today we're talking hoops. We're talking my boy Dejounte Murray, y'all. And if you're a fan of the channel, you may have noticed that I made a little video the other night after Murray had a great game against the Boston Celtics, and I was a tad bit excited about that. Okay, you got me. I was really excited about that. Hey, who can blame me, man? It's our first win in like forever, 6-7 games, so I was hyped. But when I went over the internet to social media, I was surprised to see not everyone was hyped and happy for Murray. I mean, I was so shocked and appalled by this. I did not see this coming.
Oh my God! Wow!
So guys, I had to make a video about this. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying there's more than one game. I understand people are still a little skeptical. We're only like 20 games in the season. I get that. And I'm not talking about reasonable takes. Reasonable takes, okay. You're not a Murray guy. You still, the jury is still out. You're still waiting on to see more evidence. I give you that. That's understandable. But some of the takes that we're going to go over today is just downright ridiculous. And I wanted to make this video because I don't want the fan base to think I'm making these things up. So when I make a video about the Murray haters are really quiet, or people hate on Murray, yada, 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 I want to bring proof to the table to show you some of the crazy takes that I've seen on the internet, despite this man dropping 29, 11, and 6 and being the most consistent Spur so far this season. People are still having so many negative things to say, and even when they're not being negative, they're putting other players ahead of him, whether it's Vassell, whether it's Trey Jones, which I don't hate on those players. I root for those players. They look good, but I'm like, man, are we so quick to negate what Murray has been doing consistently since last season now? Behind the DeRozan, he was hooping. Are we so quick to throw that away for someone who has a couple good games this season? And that's what this video is about. But before I jump too deep into it, if you like my content, please sub to the channel, hit that like button, and don't forget to hit that bell for more videos. Thank you so much for the continued support. Okay, just going over some of these takes that I got off of social media. I do spend a lot of time on Facebook. I know it's an old guy thing, but that's where most of the Spurs fans groups are. So this take here isn't the worst take in the world. It's not. And I'm not bashing people for their takes. That's why I keep, their names and their picture profile anonymous, just to show some respect. But I want to go over some of the vernacular, some of the criticisms that are floating, not just with one fan, but with several fans. This fan here says he definitely needs to improve his shooting and playmaking skills. Also, it'd be nice if he can attack the basket and dish out to open teammates. He still has a lot to improve on, but he has come a long way from that point guard who only knows how to throw a floater. Now, I will admit, Murray still has a ways to go. He does have things he has to improve on. But when you read a comment like this, it's somewhat insulting when you say, hey, someone needs to improve on their shooting. Now, you're saying he needs to improve on his three-point shooting, then yeah, you're correct. But his mid-range shooting is excellent. It was second to DeMar DeRozan last season. It's first on the team this year, easily. Playmaking skills. People love to throw out that Murray isn't a point guard or he should be a 2 guard and yada, yada, yada. But let's look at the stats. He's top 5 in assists in the league, averaging 8 a game. The top person in the league right now is Chris Paul, one of the best point guards of all time, and he's averaging 10.6. Murray's averaging 8. You get what I'm saying? What more can we ask of a 5-year player or a 5th-year player? What more can we ask? The next criticism of Murray is the fact that he turns over the ball a lot. Now, his turnovers are up this season from 1.7 to 2.4, which is a significant jump. But then when you look at the assist turnover ratio, when you look at that, he's top 5 in the league again. He flirts with number 5 and number 6 off and on. Okay, as of this video, he should be around number 5. So, what more can we ask of a 5th-year player? he's still rubbing shoulders with some of the best point guards in the league when it comes to assists, when it comes to turnover ratio. What are we looking for at the point guard position? There're not a whole bunch of Steph Currys out there. There're not a whole lot of Jay Morants out there. There are definitely not a whole lot of Chris Pauls out there. So what are we looking for when we make comments like this? Here's another take in another Spurs group that kind of says the same thing, but it's a little bit more positive. I don't think this is a negative take, but it still has that rhetoric that Murray isn't a point guard. He isn't a point guard we need. He's great, but I don't think he's the guy who's going to take us to the next level, and I see him as more of a shooting guard than a PG. Now, I'm not, like I said, it's not necessarily a negative take, but the point guard position has evolved from what it was, 10 years ago. Not every player is a Steve Nash type of player. We expect our point guards to score. Steph Curry has changed and revolutionized the position. Most point guards have to score and get teammates involved. He's leading us in scoring, he's leading us in assists, and he's adding a cherry on top while leading us in rebounding. So this knock against him of not being a real point guard, there aren't really real point guards out there. The John Stockton point guard, it has been non-existent for a while now. We live in the league. The league exists today as a scoring point guard type of league, and he's doing both. So let's not negate what he's doing by saying, hey, he's more of a shooting guard than a point guard. I think he's filling that point guard position a lot better. Now, if you would have hit me with that last season when he was averaging 4 or 5 assists, then okay. But he's double that. 8 assists a game. That's more assists per game than, most guards out there. He's still top 5. And then that guy, Ben Simmons, that everyone wanted so badly, a couple months ago, his highest average at, and when it comes to assists, has been 8.8 per game. We got a guy who's 8.1 for half the price. Let's cut him some slack, y'all. Another thing that I hear a lot about people criticizing Murray, and again, this isn't a totally negative comment, but this idea that Murray is lacking in basketball IQ. And really, he's improved on that part of his game, man. Some of his passes have been spectacular. Some of his passes have been really nifty, really trendy, very, high basketball IQ plays. And he still has a ways to go because, like I said, he is averaging the 2.4 in turnovers. But when you look at the other guards in the league, that's not really that bad given the situation. Again, it's about assist to turnover ratio. His turnovers are up, but his assists have almost doubled. You get what I'm saying? So you have to look at the totality of the situation. And I don't think Murray has made a lot of mistakes during the crunch time this season. He has missed a few free throws. He has missed some critical baskets. But I don't recall him really turning the ball over consistently for us to say, yo, young fella, what are you doing? I just think a lot of times he's forced into forcing it because we do have players who have been reluctant to take last shots or take crunch time shots. Derek White has been one of those players. Lonnie Walker has been one of those players. A lot of times he can't even make it on the floor, to be honest with you. Kellen Johnson has been known to force things. So sometimes Murray is forced into taking maybe an extra shot or two where he would rather pass it. But if you watch the possession, he's trying to get everyone involved, but the ball makes a U-turn straight back to him and he has to force a shot. So I don't think he's making critical mistakes at the end of games on a consistent basis. Another critique of Murray that pops up a lot is the fact that people negate his development by saying, hey, it took him 5 years to get to this point. It took him 5 years to be consistent. It took him 5 years to actually do something for this team. And I think that's just such an unfair take, because if you understand the NBA, not every player comes in like a Jay Morant ready to play, like a Zion ready to play. These players take development. To be fair, Murray was a late first round pick I think we're so used to getting the Manu Ginobilis, the Tony Parkers that are instantly ready because they've been pro since they've been like 13, 14, 15 years old, that when we get a Murray that requires some grooming, requires some time to grow, requires some development, it's like, hey, what's taking him so long? And that's not fair if you understand the game of basketball. Also, you have to consider the fact that Murray did miss a year with a knee injury. That's not necessarily his fault right there. He missed a year for that. And then on top of that, when he first came into the league, came into the Spurs organization, we were pretty established. Most of the big three was still around. Kawhi was blooming. So it wasn't a whole lot of time for him to develop. It's not like he's been playing 30, 35 minutes, 40 minutes a game for 3, 4, 5 seasons, and then he's just breaking out now. It's a slow crawl to get that time. It's a slow crawl, to realize who you are within this organization, because it's changed, so many times, with Tim Duncan retiring, then Manu retiring, then LaMarcus Aldridge leaving, then DeRozan leaving. It has transformed so many times. So it's unfair to kind of hold him to this standard. Oh man, it took him 5 years to even be decent. Come on, guys, let's be fair. And again, this isn't the worst take, but it's not necessarily a fair take. And then you, of course, have people that just feel like we should just trade him. He's playing well, he's valuable, we should just trade him. And to be honest with you, this isn't the worst take in the world if you are a fan of the Spurs going for a bare minimum total, Houston Rocket type rebuild where we're tanking and all of that. But the Spurs organization isn't about that. And what irked me about this comment wasn't necessarily what the poster said. It was the fact that, I guess it was what the poster said. It was the fact that he said this without at least giving props. Like, man, this player has grown. This player looks good. Man, I'm glad he's on the team, but maybe we should consider trading him for some picks because we're not going anywhere with him just being good by himself. Something like that would be different than being like, hey, let's trade him. No props, no kudos, no nothing. Hey, let's just trade him. I see this a lot on the web as well. And then, of course, you got the Warrior fans in the skies that, troll the Spurs fans that feel like if a player can't shoot the three consistently, that he's total garbage or he's total trash or he doesn't belong in the league. I agree with this poster that he has to work on his 3-point shooting, but this isn't something you bring up after your player gets a win, 29 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, no threes made, did it the old-fashioned way, in the paint, gritty, 5 for 7 from the free throw line. This is something you don't bring up. Oh man, he didn't make any threes. So what, man? The 3-point shot is essential to today's game, but he's working on that. He's working on that. The whole team is trying to work on that and trying to get better at that. To me, this isn't a bad comment because it's truthful. I would like for him to make more threes. He does need to work on that aspect of his game, but it was just ill timing. It's like laughing out loud at a eulogy or something like that. It just didn't make sense. Just didn't make sense to me. Like, come on, dude. Cut this young fella some slack. Now, this last comment, I have to admit I'm a little guilty with this one because I do tend to go toe-to-toe with the trolls on Facebook, Instagram, and other forms of social media. It's an addiction because I feel like I'm a reasonable fan with reasonable data and with a reasonable basketball IQ. So when I come across stupidity like this, I have to clash against it. So this particular poster was claiming that Murray would be better if his crossover dribble wasn't so terrible. It wasn't so high and it wasn't so weak. And I'm thinking like, yo, what games are you watching? Now, I'm not saying he has an Iverson crossover, but he damn sure has the best crossover on the team. And it's damn sure effective for him getting in the paint, especially if we're going off of that Celtics game that he just had. And this poster decides to tell me that Trey Jones, Derek White, Lonnie Walker, and Keldon Johnson have better handles than DeJounte Murray. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Be real. Be real with me now. I'm willing to put money that he has better handles than every person he just listed. But you know what really irked me? Because I'm not perfect. My takes aren't perfect. I'm not the perfect basketball guru or anything like that. So maybe Tre Jones does have a better crossover. I haven't noticed it, but maybe he does. What really irked me was the fact that he said Keldon freaking Johnson had a better crossover or better handles than DeJounte Murray. Are you serious? Are you serious? And don't get me wrong, I love Keldon. I love what Keldon brings to the team. Hustle, heart, energy, strong finishes at the basket. He had a hell of a dunk the other night. But listen, there's no way you a Spurs fan watching every game and you're looking at Keldon Johnson like, woo, shoot. Nah, he sure can dribble that ball. Woo, shoot. Nah, he sure has one hell of a crossover. Woo, shoot. Nah, he just put the ball behind his back. There's no way you're saying that while watching Keldon Johnson. So that's how I knew this poster was a straight troll. Straight troll that just had disingenuous feelings about Murray. You don't have to be a fan, a big fan like myself, or hell, you don't even have to get props, but don't say no garbage like this. That Keldon Johnson has better handles than Murray. Come on, y'all. And I'm not saying Murray is the perfect ball handler. He probably has some things to work on, but he's drastically improved from a couple years ago. Let's give him that. And then to add insult to injury, he says Tre Jones could average the same amount of assists in the Spurs system. First off, what Spurs system are you watching? I don't think we have a system that's indicative of point guards getting a whole lot of assists. This isn't like the Phoenix Suns from back in the day with Mike D'Antoni. Popovich is running a motion offense for the most part. If anything, it kind of prevents you from getting assists because you're moving the ball so much. So I don't know why he thinks Tre Jones off the bench. This man has been on the bench for several games, been trapped on the bench. Now, granted, I'm glad he's breaking out a little bit. I'm praying for this brother. Do your thing. But I don't know how you can expect someone to come off the bench cold as ice. Like my dog D-Rob said on the 2003 Daggone Championship DVD. Cold as ice on the bench. And is going to average 8 assists in the league. Come on, y'all. Come on. And this is the stuff I'm talking about. Let's give Murray his roses now. Let's give him some props. Is he perfect? No, he's not perfect. Is he a superstar? No. Is he an all-star? That's questionable. No. But let's just give him his props. He's the best player on the team. He's playing with heart. He wants to be a Spur. He's a positive guy. Why are we talking negatively about this brother? Why? Let's root for him. Let's root for him. Do we need more pieces? Sure. Do he need help? Sure. Should he be someone's Robin versus the Batman of the team? Of course. But right now we don't have a Batman. We don't have a main guy. Let's give this brother props and stop hating. People out here hating. I'm talking about heavy hating. Alright guys, that's it for this one. Thank you for kicking it with me this long because this video ran extra long, man. But I had to vent and get this out and show you what I see and why I produce the content that I produce. Because of the things like this I see. And I promise you, it's only the tip of the iceberg what I showed you today. But this video is almost 20 minutes long. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. I could do a 2-3 hour stream over just the comments that I see in Spurs groups that are absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Alright guys, thank you for kicking it with me. Check out the other videos on the channel. Don't forget to hit up that superhero playlist. I got some heat coming for that this week. Check that out. And I will catch you in the comments. Peace.